Hello, everybody. This is Brightside Global Trade TV, our video podcast, and I have today on our Brightside Book Club and author channel, AIDEN Gabor. And for reasons that you can understand that this is a confidential book, we will not be able to show you his video, but you will be able to hear his voice. First of all, Aiden, I want to thank you for being so brave to write a book like this, which is an eye opener for all of us. And if you would, please tell us about yourself and introduce your book.
Elizabeth, thank you so much for having me today. The book Conflicting Loyalties is based on my life starting in three. I went from starting in my teens, where I started working as a enforcer. I started delivering and working as an enforcer with a local crew, and we worked worked my way up to enforce, going through everything with the daily life of working. I grew up in a normal neighborhood, but then I started with working with the crew and worked my way through. And then as I got older, the book is based on my second tour, where I started working as an undercover, and they needed somebody to go in to work as far as to get local law enforcement. And they wanted to get some bad officers, and they needed an informant. They didn't want anybody going in to do basically anything that would take that you'd have to go and they just wanted information how to take certain people down, and they wanted somebody that you could send, like they say, a snake into the snake pit. And growing up, I did worked for it, and when I got into it, there's people I've seen as I was growing up, and I was very young when I started. I started at 12. And as I grew up, I would see these guys, and I realized that they were in law enforcement and realized who they were. And then as I got older, they came to me and said, "We have you dead to rights. You could end up with the RICO laws, end up with some issues in prison, or you can help us out." And they sent me to, and I basically had to get out of school, and then I would go to a test to get onto these different departments. And as I get on, they say, "Will you look at this person, look at this officer, look at this officer, and what can you tell us who's doing what, who's doing this?" And I would collect information and all that. And what it was is they see me and they knew who I was. They knew what I did as younger, so they trusted me. And I just want to let it be known that I worked for a crew. I never said anything against my crew, but I worked for everything against bad politicians and bad police officers. I ended up putting several of them in prison. Had a lot of ups and downs, a lot of guns pointed in my face, got shot once, got stabbed many a time. And just growing up in that type of cesspool of people you're dealing with. And then I ended up not being a very religious person or anything. I used to joke around that I worked for the other guy. And I always had friends of mine that would tell me, "Hey, you know what, you need to get some religion, you get spiritual." I tell them to go where they can go. And I would sit there and not believe. And as I got older, everybody kept talking to me. I started reading the literature, and I had a change in metamorphosis, thinking, wow, something inside just sparked. And I was reading the Baha'i faith. And I don't know if you understand the Baha'i is, you can look it up. And I did the Baha'i faith, and I read it. I do the classes. And something about it brought me, and I changed from what I was. And I did work all the way up until my late 30s doing this, taking undercover and doing stuff. And then I decided, after I got injured the last time, that I would have to, one day speak of it. But I believe I met something, a higher purpose in life. And I believe everybody's equal and everybody serves one.
Wow, you are so brave. And I can't wait to read your book. And I'm guessing it's available on Amazon. And we hope more people can come out and tell their stories. And thank you.
Yes, ma'am. It's on Amazon, Target, Barnes and Nobles, other sites that I come on, like Soulfly or some other sites like that. But you're mostly on Amazon, Target, and Barnes and Noble. Yes, ma'am.
Well, thank you so much for being on our show.
I appreciate your advice, and now I guess what will need to happen is, you're in an unusual condition or position. Um, so I mean, in that regard, uh, any advice you could give to people who might find themselves put in that condition and how you manage it?
Well, yes, sir, I understand what you're saying. When you get in that position, like I said, I was younger. I did start off, bad influences. I had a mentor who I was not Italian. I was Hungarian, so I could not be what they consider maid. I could work other spots, but I can enforce. And then you'd see bad police officers, and there's somebody out there all the time wanting to stop. Everybody talks about law enforcement and the bad as whole. That one bad police officers make one bad police makes 100 police officers, good police officers look bad. But there's people out there taking the bad ones off the streets to help the people, and it's they don't play fair, they don't play nice, and yeah, at twist and turn, it's something always going on.
Yeah. Well, in your book, what do you want people to know? What do you want people to be? How do you want people to be encouraged?
I did this. Yeah, I know. I did this as a therapy to start out because I was having a lot of night terrors,
Okay.
and I was reading, starting to read the high faith and learning, and I did this as a therapy to understand that, what, again, there is somebody out there, they are trying to protect the streets or try to protect people out there, taking bad, because there's always bad out there, getting the evil, put it away. But
Yeah.
sometimes you got to use evil to get rid of evil.
Yeah.
And that's how I look at it. But you can metamorphose yourself from being a bad person to a good person.
I see. Well,
We see. Well, thank you again for joining us. And the book is available everywhere on Amazon. We'll make sure it's on our book reading list as well. And you can get it from our store as well. So thank you. We really, really enjoyed this segment. And we wish you much success with your book.